I now call to order the business of March 10th, 2015. Mr. Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Nettapegian.
Present.
Kenneth Barron.
Here.
Thomas Berry.
Here.
Robert Constant.
Here.
Lisa Hicks Clayton.
Here.
Margaret Horvath.
Here.
Joseph Kosinski.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Thank you. I'd like to ask Councilwoman Lisa Hicks Clayton to please lead us in the pledge today.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next order of business is approval of the agenda.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Apigian.
I move to approve of the agenda of today's council meeting, March 9th, 10th, 2015.
Support with the addition of 9F. We need the addition.
With the addition of 9F,
Right, it's in it now.
which is from Parks and Rec Director Ken Greibel, the 2014-15 Wayne County Park Millage Allotment.
So moved.
Okay? Second by
Yes, sir.
Councilman Berry. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 4, approve of the minutes. 4A, the minutes of the regular meeting of February 24th, 2015.
Mr. Chair,
Councilman Berry.
motion to approve the minutes of February 24th as submitted.
Second.
Second by Councilman Kozinski. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 6, fund transfers and current claims and the removal of current claim 6-4.
Mr. Chair,
Councilman Berry.
motion to approve fund transfer 6A and current claims 6-1 through 6-30 with the removal of current claim 6-4.
Support.
Second by Councilman Constant. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Kozinski.
we all received a note via the email why 6-4 was removed. And I'm kind of looking for an appropriate strategy that may be taken up by somebody administration, or maybe it could be a council resolution to announce to 6-4 that they need to review their procedures for submitting us invoices. This is a second occurrence of a statement that it was inaccurate. This particular one was previously paid. So is there going to be anyone in the administration to call the submitters of 6-4 to get their stuff together so that we don't have to spend time and energy dealing with a bill that has been already paid, and in the previous meeting we had one that was incorrect? Is there anyone that's going to do that, or do we do it here at the table?
Yeah, that is it's in process, and the other thing is that the subsequent reviews of them, so that doesn't happen again. We apologize, and we'll be extremely embarrassed if it does happen again, because it won't.
No, Mr. Mayor, I'm not saying that it's the responsibility of the administration or this council body. It's a defect in their invoicing system that requires us to take various steps, time and energy, that we shouldn't be taking. So they should be notified to get their stuff up to date. Otherwise, we might find another agency to do the work.
Point well taken.
Thank you.
It'll be relayed to them.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 8, reports from the mayor. 8A from Mayor Pleco, running of FIT Annual Martian Marathon.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
I move to approve and grant permission to hold the annual Martian Marathon on Saturday, April 18th, 2015, commencing at 7:30 a.m. And also, Police Chief Lee Gavin has approved the route and will provide any services they may require as outlined in item 8A.
Second.
Second by Councilman Kozinski. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 9, reports from city officials. 9A from Tiffin Chairman Collette, Tax Secretary and Finance Authority, audit report for the year ending June 30th, 2014. This is a received note and file.
Mr.
So moved,
Chairman.
Mr. Chairman.
Councilman
Support.
Kozinski.
Support.
So moved.
So moved, yes, sir.
Support.
Second by Councilman Constant. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item number B from Controller McCarry, budget amendment required per state law.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Apigian,
I move to approve of all 12 of the budget amendments indicated in item 9B as presented by our Controller Markari. Those budgets are needed to comply with state law.
Support.
second by Councilwoman Hicks Clayton. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 9C from City Clerk Pachevis, budget amendment for salaries to election/part-time.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Apigian.
I move to approve of the request of our city clerk, Walter Prusevich, on all 5 budget adjustments as illustrated in item 9G. These adjustments are necessary, cover the
C.
expected costs as a result of the February-May election.
Second.
9C. That was 9C.
9C.
Correct. Second by Councilman Kozinski.
Let me correct.
Any discussion?
Oh, I said G. Okay.
Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 9D from Library Director McCaffrey, budget amendments for building and grounds and printing to state aid.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilwoman Horvath.
I move that we approve the following amendment, removing $17,000 from account 738-728 state aid and adding it to account 738-931 and 738-902 for building and grounds and printing, as
Support.
outlined in 9D.
Yes, support.
Second by Councilwoman Hicks Clayton. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 9E from Police Chief Gavin, annual maintenance for the Motorola MCC 7500 radio consoles and Intro Viper 911.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Apigian.
I move to approve of Police Chief Lee Gallen's request for approval of payment to Motorola in the amount of $60,311.81 for the annual maintenance and support of this equipment. The amount and the annual fee will be taken in the police department's contractual services budget. And we will be billed quarterly, includes maintenance of Motorola equipment as outlined in detail in 9E.
Support.
Second by Councilman Berry. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Councilwoman Horvath.
no. No.
Any further discussion?
I have a question, Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Kozinski. Sure.
There have been a series of emails addressing some of the questions that I had in reading this document between the chief and supported by Mark Myers with regard to a better understanding of what the issue is. The questions were appropriately addressed, and I wonder if it would be appropriate for the council to approve this agreement for the next quarter under the terms that we are living with now, and in the interim have the representative from Motorola come in here and give us a in-depth understanding of what this is all about, presuming that if this contract was extended for the quarter under the present terms, that we would not be at a loss for the 5% incentive that goes with regard to approving this before March 20th. The basic question, Chief, is can we continue under the present contract for a period of 1 quarter? And I ask that because during that span of time, we can have the Motorola people come in here and define for us what kind of service and maintenance and work activity have been performed since the equipment is on site. And it'll also give an additional period of time of 3 months to determine if that kind of activity, support and repair and maintenance is continuing in the foreseeable quarter.
You know, Mr. Councilman, I could look into it. It's a year contract. Usually, it's a year's contract, but it looks like it's broken down into payments each quarter.
Yes.
We can ask them if we can do it that way. You know, usually most of the contracts, they want you to sign them, and they want you to sign them for a year. So we can ask, and I can let you know in a few days.
But a follow-up question,
Mr.
either way,
Chairman,
would you
I'd
want
ask-
Motorola to come
I'd
in
ask for
and-
additional discussion about this issue. It's a significant expenditure for service and maintenance agreements. And what I'm asking essentially is an opportunity to get some insight as to what kind of activities have already been performed on this equipment since we've had it under contract. And it will also give us an additional 3 months to look to see whether there's any repetition of that kind of work activity or support. And if it doesn't penalize us against the 5% discount that is offered, I think that would be an appropriate time to have the representative come in and give us a detailed description of what this is all about. I personally have found it rather difficult to understand the various strategies that are defined in this document, and I think it would be appropriate and a teaching effort on the responsibility of what needs to be done with regard to these kinds of activities, because over the long term, as we exit the financial status that we're in, I think this is one of the areas that we have to look at as a potential reduction in the entire budget. And let's hear from the rest of the body.
You know what, I have Sergeant Myers here in attendance. Maybe Sergeant Myers could answer a few questions in regards to, we've had the equipment just over a year, if we've had any warranty work done to it. Sergeant Mark? Maybe he can answer some questions. Marge, did you have something for me?
Oh, I just want to add to the chief. I talked to Joe, we had some discussion today, and I ended up, the first thing that I just want the council to note is on this piece of paper that we got from Motorola, it tells us nothing. There's no address, there's no contact numbers, there's no fax numbers, there's nothing. It's just a letterhead like our letterhead with nothing on it, which I told the chief from going forward, we need information, because I tried to call this guy and he doesn't exist. Anyway,
But in the
with that
paperwork,
said,
in the
chief
paperwork I
me-
sent you,
yeah,
his
yeah,
information is
yeah.
there.
But the chief did send me, and I don't think Joe had an opportunity to get it. This is the contract, the way I'm looking at it. I mean, this is what they're going to tell us. Go ahead, Gary.
Okay, go ahead, Gary.
Yeah, basically what it says here is the following pricing is being provided as a reference and does not constitute a formal service agreement. A formal service agreement will be provided for review and execution upon services acceptance. So it would strike me two things. One is Councilman Kozinski raised the issue of, could we just kind of go along with this and then end up getting the information? Since this is not supposed to serve as a formal contract,
Right.
it would strike me that the strategy that the councilman is suggesting, while ordinarily it would not work, because if it was a contract, you can't sit there and say, well, geez, your pricing is for a year, we accept that pricing for a year, and then turn around and say, well, we no longer accept it, we only accepted it for a quarter. That would not be a formal, an appropriate acceptance. In this situation, it would appear that that strategy could indeed work, and further, this body should end up having an actual formal services agreement presented to it later and approved by it later. So it would strike me that the strategy suggested by the councilman may indeed be something that could be done, even though ordinarily it wouldn't be that way.
Mr. Chairman.
Hold on, I get the,
1 second.
Let me respond to,
you had the floor already, though.
No, wait, 1 minute.
it's a follow-up to what,
Councilman Kozinski, go ahead, and then we'll get Councilman Berry, and then we'll get,
well put, Councilor Mayotte. One of the questions that were raised and emails were exchanged about this is exactly the section of the writing that you are alluding to. There is no formal contract, and the formal contract would be based, I understand, on the selection of services and support from a menu of activities that are contained in here. However, Councilwoman Horvath has a collection of data, which I incidentally could not access my mail to get my copy of it, so that if she has this information, I'm sure she didn't have the time to read it. We would have in that interim of 3 months to discuss this issue based on the details of what is here contained, and then determine the route to go from forward. So, go ahead, Councilman Berry wanted to comment.
Councilman Berry, questions?
Yes, I want to make sure that, Chief, you understand that we're not picking on the police department. I think as a body, we want to begin to learn the contracts that we have with outside vendors and what services we're gaining from them. We just don't know enough about that. There are some things we don't go out for bid for because they may be a single source or because they're original provider, such as Motorola on these. But we'd like to know, what are we getting for the $60,000? What does it provide to the city? Yeah, I think like this particular contract is the first one that's really come up, other than the last one you had last week, but just the same. Moving forward, I think we're going to be asking every department that may have any service agreement with any outside company to bring us those contracts, and so we can begin to learn a little bit more about what we're getting for what we're paying.
Sure.
Mr. Chairman,
Mayor?
just a little bit of a historical light, because in fairness, there were decisions made many years ago that influence where we are right now with the Motorola system. And I had the opportunity, since I'm a representative on the Downriver community, and they've gone to a joint program, which is different. But we were forced, whether we liked it or not, but it's actually, there's benefit to it, into the state of Michigan radio system. That forced us into Motorola, because that's what the state police use. So we don't really have an opportunity to use somebody else. In the Downriver system, they didn't go with the state police. They went with an independent contractor, which was 2 different people, one out of Canada and a local domestic one. The beauty of that system is, when I sat through all the bid presentations, even though it didn't have an effect, I learned a lot about the pricing and how this whole system goes. And one of the reasons they did not go Motorola is that the gentleman said, when they talked about these maintenance contracts, which are just exorbitant with the Motorola system, but if you buy into the state police system, which is what we are in and what the Westland evolved into, you're forced into the Motorola system. I remember the man saying, because the bid difference in maintenance between the Motorola and the other is really what made the bid difference. And the gentleman said, there's nothing that we put into your radio system that you couldn't find a replacement part at Radio Shack, although Radio Shacks, I think, are gone now. However,
Want to bet on it?
what was key to that is the Motorola people were like $15,000 to $20,000 higher for maintenance. And so the downriver system went that way. We didn't have that particular opportunity in light of the fact that the Westland had to incur a large amount of cost. We were in a consortium with Westland and Wayne, Inkster, and Garden City. And so we were forced into going down this path. If you want to have that shortly, or you want to have it during the budget session, because you haven't seen the end of bills. What you're going to learn is that by going to the Michigan State Police, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we got about 150 radios that we have to convert to a Motorola's at 4,000 apiece?
To purchase new ones, yes.
Okay, so now we got that particular cost to contend with. The one thing that I'm hoping is going to mitigate this entire cost is we brought Garden City along because they would like to leave the situation they have. Dearborn, Spring, and Melvindale, and the 4 communities are looking as to whether or not we can come up with something. But it looks like, I think that Dearborn has selected the state police system.
Same system.
Which is somewhat beneficial to putting us in and Garden City into the system. But there'll be more of us, but whether you want to do it next week or you want to wait until budget session, you're going to find out that this cost from Motorola, I can't see an end to it. And I'm hoping that when these communities all get together, it's going to maybe put us in a little better position in regards to some of these costs. But you can go ahead and meet, but every meeting I was at, and either Chief, you or Myers, but these decisions were made, I mean, were made before I was mayor and before the chief was the chief. But we're kind of forced into the path we are, and Motorola under that state contract with the state police. The other problem is Motorola, there's a fee in that, but it's $150 a radio that we have to pay.
$200 a year.
$200 to the state police. That's somewhat predicated on Motorola's cost to the MSP. So I don't know how we're going to control that. I'm warning you that this is a tip of the iceberg, and it's a multifaceted dragon that I and the chief, we're all trying to get our arms around, but I don't see this thing, and it's a budget breaker because of the fact that when you start, every policeman and fireman has to have a radio. And at $4,000 a radio, I mean, they have to have the radios. That is a lot of money. I mean, what do we got, 50 in the fire department? 50 in the fire.
About 140 for us.
150 radios at $4,000 a radio. So, we're going to try to get the fire ones paid for by safer grants or some combination. There is no such thing in the police section under Homeland Security. We're probably going to put a few in the budget, but this is a huge. I'm not optimistic that we're going to be able to reduce this. I would hope we would be able to, but Motorola, because they're the state police connection and we're in the state police system, it's an open checkbook. And I'm bothered about that, but you can't place blame on, I mean, it just evolved.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilwoman Horvath.
2 things. When I called the chief today, I did make it clear to him that unfortunately, this is the first big contract that we looked at since we decided we were going to do this, look over the contracts. And so they got the arrow. The other thing is I asked Sergeant Myers to be here, and he's here, so you got to get up and say something.
Come on up, Sergeant. But basically, a year ago, we got new consoles when we were part of the Westland group, and we were breaking away. Everyone was going independent. So we got new consoles, and then we got a new 911 system, and we're in the 2nd or 3rd year of paying for that. So that's what this service agreement is covering. I'll let Mark talk, but the service agreement is when we originally got the equipment, whatever the warranty was in, this service agreement is just extending all that warranty. So when we approved it to buy it over a year ago, this is the same service agreement. You know, that was included because it was warranty the first year. So this is the same type of items that are covered. And Mark's got a few examples of what's already been done to the equipment. So, Sergeant Myers?
Good.
Thank you. Just to be really quick, these contracts are the same extension of the original purchase agreement. So the same warranties that you got for that first year, The MCC 7500, which are your dispatch radio consoles that dispatch police and fire and rescue, those have been expired since December 18, 2014. So Motorola has extended that without any type of agreement. Intrado 911, which is your 911 calls coming in that integrate with the CAD system, which is computer-aided dispatch, along with Alley and all the phone systems. That's what you're talking about. Roughly $600,000 to $700,000 worth of equipment is what you're warranting right now. These warranties, the statement of works that would be offered was given to Councilman Horvath later this afternoon. Truly, what you got in front of you for the proposal is just that, a quote. So you could look over the statements of work. Those things that are included in that statement of work are the 24-hour response service. It is the 1-hour response time to the police station. So when the 911 radio system goes down, we have immediate response. It is preventative maintenance. It is parts, labor, costs, all those things involved in it. All of those are in the statement of work. Really what you have is you have two different warranty agreements that they bundled together for us at a discounted rate for $700,000 worth of equipment. I understand it is a lot of money that we have to discuss about. However, it's essential because the technology that's involved in it, proprietary to Motorola on the MCC 7500 and on the Intrado, they're this exclusive partner in this area with them, and it is way above my technology level or anyone in the police departments to even begin to think about servicing those type of incidents of emergencies. So it is a true necessity that they be serviced in a timely manner on these service contracts.
It's a good explanation, thank you.
Yep.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman
a
Kozinski.
couple of things. As I was developing an understanding and background for this, I contacted a person who does heavy maintenance work. And some time ago, they had to install a large heating plant, a furnace, to accommodate their facilities with warmth through the wintertime. The system is a hydronic system, and it takes 3 pumps to pump into various areas to warm. One of those pumps failed, and the person in charge of the responsibility for heating the operation said, let me get an estimate of what the problem is. The problem was found to be one of the 3 pumps on the system. The quote was $1,500 to repair or replace the pump. Okay, the man had the diagnosis of what it is. Went out to an independent repairman and got it done for under $350. $350 to $1,500 is a significant difference in savings. Now, I understand Motorola is one of those sophisticated operations and giants in the industry, in the e-industry. The analogy that I think can be drawn is Motorola is the doctor. We go to a physician. The physician gets paid by various insurance agencies, Blue Cross or Aetna or whatever have you. Isn't it possible to find an alternative to do the work that Motorola is doing under a insurance contract arrangement, such as in the healthcare? I think that's a possibility, but I personally, being in that industry, don't have an understanding of what direction to run in. In addition to that, the council is going to be at budget hearing very shortly. And I can assure you that every department will be asked to bring in their expenses on service and maintenance agreements. You can probably determine that I'm not a big rah-rah fan for maintenance agreements. They are horrendously expensive. They're a cash cow for the company that sells them, and we really don't know what we get for them in exchange for, in this case, a $60,000 bill. So is there good reason to sit down for the next quarter and debate this some more and try to find an alternative, if there is an alternative, or do we just go forward and do what is being requested, and essentially the council accepting the explanation that indeed was presented to us on paper. The great difficulty is that even if you wanted to talk to the representative, there is no email address, no telephone number. It's a pig in a bag, essentially. You buy the bag or you don't.
Chairman,
One of the two.
Okay. Councilman Constant, and then we'll get,
Chief and Sergeant Myers, but didn't I hear you say this equipment, amongst other things, is Motorola considers it proprietary? So if you send Mr. Repairman out, if they call Motorola and say, hey, we need this or that, or they don't provide it, it's sort of like with certain software, if you need it fixed or anything, if it's proprietary, you have to send it back to the company. They fix it and send it back, or they give you a replacement. They won't tell anybody, any layperson, any outsider, you need to do A, B, C, and D, because it's proprietary. Is that the case with this? In other words, can an outsider come in and if they needed to do a repair, communicate with Motorola? Would Motorola not allow that?
On the Motorola system, the only ones that I know that service that Motorola MCC 7500 under their warranty as a Motorola representative is a Motorola shop.
And that was what was talked about in the DCC, that only the Motorola people have the authority and the ability to service this because they train their people. And even that other company was asked that, and they said, we can't fix a Motorola system. They got a monopoly on this. I mean, I don't like this, but the other problem is to just consider, we can't risk that system going down.
That would be my other thing. To debate, and sir, I understand now the thing. However, if that system, we're on a no contract right now. They have extended it without any payment since December 18th. If that were to go down right now, we are without a radio dispatch system for the city of Dearborn Heights Police, Fire, and EMS, because there is no one with the expertise to bring that up on our end.
It's not unlike an Apple. When you buy an Apple computer, you can't take it anywhere but to Apple to get it fixed, and no one else will service it.
Nobody will touch
You actually buy a license to use their equipment. Under the terms of agreement, Apple owns it. So it's a similar type of deal with Motorola?
I would be taking it to the same Motorola shop that we would have contract with, paying a different rate that's not at a service rate, at an escalated rate. Motorola is our vendor here. We use a specific shop, and that's a Motorola vendor area here. They come out, they're our 24-hour technicians. They're the ones that know the nuances with our telephone system, our radio system, our computer systems, the infrastructure within the building. If I were to do that individually, without a contract, that would be the same people I would be calling, however, at an extreme higher rate, because we are not under contract.
Councilman Berry and then Councilman Apigian.
No doubt that Mr. Mayor, it does somewhat sound like a monopoly, but I'll tell you this. You can take your car to any service shop that you want to get service to, and they have an abundance of aftermarket parts that they can put on your car. But when you come into an issue such as our radios, and Motorola services them, I can tell you that there's got to be 30 different electronic pieces for the same part that you want to replace, but you're getting an original Motorola part that's warranted for that and designed for that system. I would never think of jeopardizing it and going with another company. So that's not my issue. My issue is only understanding what we're getting, and I think you presented that very well to me, and I appreciate that. I would never consider outsourcing this to another company other than a Motorola approved company, just for the sake of the parts.
Okay, Councilman Apigian.
In the police chief, item 9E, he says very briefly, the Motorola is the company that install and has been servicing all this new equipment. And it only seems logical that whether you like the Motorola agreement and you have almost $750,000 of equipment which is under warranty by them, I assure you, if you buy a Cadillac and it's under warranty, you better take it to the Cadillac dealer do not take it to the Ford dealer. They will not honor your warranty. Now, if you're like me and you like new cars, you take it where you got the warranty. If you got an old one, and I got an old one, then I can take that to anybody. I could take it to Bell Tire, I could take it to my friend, but you're dealing with brand-new stuff that you just recently purchased and is under warranty. There isn't much to think about for me. It's unfortunate. You got the history from the mayor. It's Motorola. And you're not in, you got a 5% discount if you honor their package. Seems to me it's an open and shut case. If you want to make your own radio system and service it yourself, maybe you could do it cheaper. But this is what we have, and this is what you're going to have to live with.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to call the vote.
Mr. Chairman,
Call the
Board
vote.
comment?
I thought we did already.
Councilor Kozinski, go
I
ahead.
had talked for so long, and I forgot.
I already said in the previous meeting is that because of the assets that the community has, we have 2 new libraries, Richard Young, senior centers, Canfield Center. We have a host of assets that have a lot of high-tech data and information and equipment that has to be managed. If Motorola is such a solid operation that you cannot break it, then the thought or the proposal of having a specific person who has a technical background, either of electrical or mechanical engineering, to give us advice on these issues is essentially a dead issue. Why would we put the man in place, even on a temporary basis, to give us advice on this high-tech data, on this high-tech information? So, all said and done, it appears that Motorola has got us locked into a jaw, or whatever you call that, neck brace situation, where we can't extricate ourselves from any possibility of finding another alternate route to pay for these expensive investments.
Call the vote.
Any further discussion?
Do we
Okay,
have,
we have a motion on the floor.
do we have more?
Yes, we do.
No,
We have a
let's hear it.
motion on the floor by me, seconded by Tom. That's how I wrote it.
Okay. No further discussion. All in favor of the motion, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item number F from Parks and Rec Director Ken Greibel, the 2014-15 Wayne County Parks Millage Allotment.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question?
Okay, sure, go ahead.
All right. I note at the bottom that this is going to be part of the Richard Young project. Is that going to bring that project back up to the, where is Kent? Oh, is that going to bring that project back up to the $60,000?
Well, we don't know where it'll come. The architect's working on some revisions, which.
So we're still waiting for a rebid?
Yes, we're going to be going out for rebid.
Okay.
Okay, and so what I'm asking is, because it takes time to get another contract through, and
Yeah,
so we can
okay.
charge it, that's why I have to expedite this a little bit. So I'm not, we're anticipating somewhere between 15 and 20. We know we had one bid at 62, so we hope that that type of bidding would be, hopefully the high point, and maybe there'll be an opportunity for a lower bid once the specs are revised slightly.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Okay, but if we don't need this amount of money, it could be programmed into
Anything?
whatever, as far as
Correct.
whatever's the,
We'll definitely need some of it.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's what I'm asking is that I've given approval so I can get that part of the contract going. We can always amend it once I know what the balance is left. Then we can assign other thing or another project to it. But I don't know what that amount will be. So I don't want to have the same thing happen where I go over budget again and we get right back in the same dilemma.
Yeah, I make the motion.
okay. We have no motion on the floor yet, Councilman Berry?
I move
We'll get discussion after.
City Council authorize the allocation from the Wayne County Park millage of $34,402 towards the Richard A. Young Center facility project as outlined in 9F.
Support. Second by Councilman Constant. Is there any discussion?
Yes.
Councilman Apigian.
From reading this, since we got it at the table, it seems like it's applicable to a couple things, but it's an avenue to make sure that the Richard A. Young project, even though it's some $20,000 more than we proved, these funds can be used for this. If you remember, I said that I had some ideas how we could reduce the cost of this by eliminating 2 trades, and I spoke to the architect and had a meeting with him and discussed some of my ideas with him, and he's hopefully going to make 1, 2, or 3 proposals, as he has, with those suggestions, and hopefully we can save some money out of the deal after I could show it to you what I proposed, but hopefully if it's still over 40,000, whatever it is, and then he could use these funds, and if he doesn't have to use it for the building, he could use it for something else.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Kozinski.
make me understand why we're doing this, making a decision before what you already stated, you don't really know the actual bid. Why wouldn't it be appropriate to wait for the bid to get here and then make a decision to move forward or stand still?
The project has to be approved before you can start the project, the contract with the county. They won't allow me to go through the process without having the monies allocated through an agreement. And see, I have one contract that's coming to a conclusion, which is the one I'm working on, which is from 2 years ago. That's when the monies were allotted, and that's how sometimes it takes longer. Now, I've already spoken to the Wayne County Parks and Recreation Director, and he's going to help me walk this contract through so we get it through a lot quicker because of the uniqueness of the situation of having it, the 2 projects having 2 different time periods funding.
I get it.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Mark, Councilwoman Hicks Clayton has a no. Motion carried. Number 11, ordinances and resolutions. 11A for Mayor Pleco, resolution and downriver sewage disposal system service agreement with Wayne County regarding flow into the Wyandotte wastewater treatment plant.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Kozinski.
move council approve the attached resolution to be signatured by the mayor and the city clerk for the downriver wastewater management system. The appropriate documents are attached. All they have to do is be approved by this body and signed by the appropriate signatories.
As outlined in 11A, support.
As outlined in 11A.
All, yes, sir, all according to the details of 11A.
And the support is by Councilman Berry. Any discussion? Mayor?
Mr. Chair. No, please go ahead.
I just want to thank the council in advance. I'll be meeting as one of the negotiators with the new county executive on Friday. Since I wrote this particular letter, Taylor has agreed to it, Brownstown Township. If we approve it tonight, we're going to have almost half the communities. We want to tell the CEO Evans that basically we don't want to pay for a system we already paid for once. And so having more communities adopting this is going to be able to show him the majority are very, very interested. The other thing we're tracking is State Representative Kurt Heisey has introduced a bill. I didn't put it on this agenda, but I think it's Bill 4133 as amended. And what it says, it's not a very long House bill, that no county can sell a system unless a majority of the communities that are serviced by that can approve it. So we're hoping that that legislation is going to go through and the combination of the two. But I'll be expressing very frankly my comments that we have no intentions of paying for something that we as 13 communities and customers have already paid for once.
Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Berry, did you have a?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and then we'll get Councilman Apigian.
Mr. Mayor, I appreciate, and I know that you worked on this for a long time, and it took a long time for this to come before us. And I was able to glean through it, but I think at one time, would you be able to get into more detail with
yeah.
us on this, please?
Yeah,
I don't need it right away. I just hoping that we can sit down and discuss it so I
Yes.
better understand it.
Yeah, I'll be able to, and if there's sufficient amount of time next Tuesday, because Patrick McCulley, who's going to be one of the presenters, is the legal counsel that assists me in the negotiations of this package. So we'll be able to update you as to how our meeting went on Friday, and also we might do it, or we could do it at a separate study session.
This would
but-
probably fit right in if the time allows
Yeah.
with it already,
Yeah.
sure.
But we'd be happy to do that.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Apigian.
would this be part of the discussions on March 17th? Since it's...
That's what we just talked about, it
Yeah,
could
it
be.
would really, anyway. I guess the county executive's going to have to find $120 million someplace else. Is that the idea? No. Yeah,
Roughly,
right. I think it was 121 million, so. Well, we're relieved of that burden. That's Mr. Evans' problem.
Councilman Kozinski?
Yes, it's interesting that the original contract was drafted in 1962. I don't recall reading in here whether there are some guideposts to tell the various communities to review a document such as this in a given time frame so that we don't get caught with assets sold from under our shoes as this was attempted to be done. 1962 predates my time here, predates the mayor's time, I think. And it's mind-boggling that the operation of that facility would continue for a prolonged period of time without any potential for something happening whereby the communities would begin to raise some questions and update the document certainly long before now.
one of the things that I've done, Councilman, is that I periodically have meetings with all the supervisors, the mayors from these 13 communities. Some of the communities bring their emergency manager with them because there's a couple of them that have emergency managers, and some have a regular manager depending on their form of government. So we're very united, and all 13 communities have given us the approval as a negotiating team and have made it very clear that they're 100% behind us. And but I use that vehicle periodically. I think it was 2 weeks ago. This Thursday was the last time we met in Southgate at the library and had kind of a lunch. And they are completely filled in. And they were one of the things that the CEO of Wayne County did is about a week ago on a Friday, he faxed all the mayors in the communities, although some of them didn't get them because he didn't have the right fax number, saying he was going to revoke this agreement. And that set off a storm. So we immediately met, and then we had this meeting a couple weeks ago, Thursday, and we're all united. And we don't believe he had the authority to revoke it. And the Wayne County Commission asked their legal counsel for an opinion. And legal counsel gave an opinion saying that, like I as a mayor, I have a veto power. But I have to veto something within 2 weeks or by the next meeting. I can't wait 2 months, and they were aware of this. We didn't hide this. It went through the transition team. And then they said, well, revoke it. And the county board of commissions said, no, we gave this to the 13 communities in good faith. And so in fact, I had a discussion with our city clerk with his knowledge in regards, and asked him on the procedure that a county executive would have, how that power would work. and you can't 2 months later all of a sudden revoke something. There's a way to do it in the same way that 2 months later, I need to come back to your body and say, rescind it and do something different. I can't, as a mayor, just arbitrarily say, well, I don't like this thing they passed 3 months ago, I'm not going to follow it. So and that's basically what the opinion. So you really have a fight that's potentially coming, and we're ready for the fight, but we're hoping that the county exec will back down.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Kozinski?
Mr. Mayor, what, is there a pool of legal funding, and where does it come from? We all assessed for a certain amount to...
Well, here's what happened. We created, because we anticipated, we were having difficulties with the last CEO, Bob Ficano, and the 12 of the communities got together and created something called DUA, Downriver Utility Wastewater Authority. And you passed as a council the petition to be one of the original members. Lincoln Park now has come aboard, so we have all 13 communities, and we're a legal entity. And twice we've assessed all the communities. I think it's been $5,000 or $10,000. So when you get 13 communities putting $15,000 in, we're ready. But I've been told by legal counsel that the kind of motions that are being made are not, it's going to cost the county a lot more money to defend them than for us to assert our particular claims. If things don't go real well, I don't want to give my strategy over on TV because I know there's people working the county. We will look at possibly paying our fees associated with the downriver treatment plant. And you've seen these bills come through, and they're sizable. We would pay them to DUA and only give the county enough money to operate the plant. And the reason is we have about $10 to $12 million on deposit. We found out the county's using that for their cash flow purposes under a pooled concept of cash. The difficulty is, I don't know that they're going to go into bankruptcy, but we were fearful that if they went into bankruptcy, we'd lose our $12 million. And so the thought is that we would stifle the cash flow and put it in DUA, and then if they had $4 million worth of bills in March, we'd give them $4 million, and then have DUA retain the rest of the money. So those are things that we're looking at. I mean, basically, I think Mayor Durand of Riverview said it best, and he said, you know, to the county exec, we all as mayors and council members and elected officials, we've gone through the same thing the county is going through, but we started reacting to it before, and we've gotten our houses in order. It's not fair for you now to ask, rather than get your house in order, you're asking us all now, just the 13 communities, to bail out the county. And that puts a special tax assessment just on the 13 communities, and that's not fair. So those are some of the arguments and some of the strategy that we're looking at, but it's kind of an interesting battle. We've all agreed that we would stay away from media, so I got on Channel 4 one day, but I was a little bit reluctant to do it because we don't want to, we just as soon negotiate this as outside of that media center and hopefully come to a resolution. But we're not going to budge. I mean, I've told you what our stance is, and the 13 communities are 100%. But that's a long answer to your question. We have probably about $50,000 remaining that we could use for legal bills.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
11B, second reading of proposed ordinance H-1504 regarding establishing a waterside stewards commission.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Apigian.
please consider item 11B to be the second reading of ordinance H-1504 regarding establishing Water Stewards Commission. from the city clerk Prushevitz's request in 11B.
And become
Support.
effective upon publication in the
I'm
local
sorry.
papers.
Become
and
effective upon publication.
Oh, sorry, yes,
Okay.
Yes,
thank
support.
you.
Support.
Second by Councilwoman Hicks Clayton. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 13, new business. 13A, business license renewal for Sips Bar, Lounge and Grill, 24735 Warren.
So move.
Moved by Councilman
Second.
Berry, second by Councilman Kozinski. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Councilwoman Horvath.
I briefly mentioned this to the clerk, and I called the attorney, Miyake, today. If you notice on all of these cabaret-type licenses, we charge $50 for this, and $25 for that, and $10 for something else, and there's a number of charges on here over and above the license renewal. I'd like to, at some point, have a discussion in a study session. My thought is to give a flat, everybody gets charged the same, $150 or $100 or whatever, and it's doable. We'd have to come to some amount that's equal to everybody, but I think, I don't know, but I think it would be probably easier in the clerk's office. I don't know how they do this, but that's just a thought.
Yeah, but a real estate agent or a State Farm insurance guy has nothing.
Well,
and
they-
this one has
they-
all these.
That's what we have-
Devices that need to be
That's what we would
tagged.
have to talk about,
Yeah.
yeah. If you're only a real estate agent or in that category, that's that charge. Like, okay, on this particular one, if you deduct all of the other expenses, other charges, it looks like the renewal is $85. You deduct the restaurant, the device, and the music box, it's $85. So, let's say all real estate offices would give you $85. Or, it's something we'd have to discuss, but, and it's no biggie. We can continue to do it this way, but I'm thinking maybe it'd be
Can you
easier in the
mark that
clerk's
down, and
office.
when we have some time?
Yeah.
Get in touch.
Mr. Chair.
Put it on your list. I don't see you writing it down
I
there.
already did,
Oh, okay, all right.
didn't I? Business license fee.
I see it right there, Mr. Chair.
Councilman Berry?
You know, Councilwoman, I'm really glad that you brought that up. I think it's a great idea. I think that businesses overall get taxed in every direction that they move, and they find it difficult to sometimes pay the personal property tax, equipment tax, and the city's going to come in and tax their equipment. I like the idea if we can move to a flat rate that sort of covers everything without overburdening them. I think it's great.
Yeah, we'll keep it on the list. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 13B, business license renewal for Famous Auto Center, 24996 Van Born.
So move.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Berry, second by Councilman Kozinski. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Kozinski.
the comments that Councilman Berry just made are attractive and reasonable. But as we look at these renewals of various businesses, there's a hell of a late fee attached to every one of them. So, you know, where's the justification on either side of the fence? The guy that, the person who is conducting business has only one poker machine, and down the street they may have 6, he's going to be upset, and he's likely the guy that can't pay the renewal and is charged at 25%. So there's a real dilemma here. That
So
has
you
to be-
penalize me for being able to service my customers so well that I attract more people, and the guy down the street doesn't do a good job, and he doesn't attract as many people, so I got to pay more for his inadequacies. I don't agree with it.
Dilemma in your mind.
I don't agree with it.
We can discuss that, though.
We're going to save that discussion for
Yep.
the study
Sure.
session.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. This ends our regular portion of our meeting, and I do have one thing. The Crestwood High School alumni is looking for alumni to join, and they has no dues for 2015. And if you want information on this, you can email info@crestwoodalumni.org. And if you were interested in joining, you would just go to the website www.crestwoodalumni.org. No info in front of it. And they can give you all the information. So that's what I had to share. And anything from the council?
Mr. Chairman,
Councilwoman Horvath?
I have a couple. We got our next Tuesday's notice today. At least I did. I pulled it just before I came. And at 7 o'clock, we're going to have the Ecorse Creek in Chapter 8 update. Is this going to be televised?
I thought it was, but I don't think that the mayor chose to.
We normally don't have the crew here for study sessions.
Well, I think we should in this case. I know you've said that in the past on other things, but taking all things into consideration, I know it's just an update and most of us are kind of aware of it. I think we should have it on.
Can we do it? Okay.
And I think it should probably run for 2 weeks like our council meetings.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, I have a question. I don't know if this is a Gary question. I noticed on the attorney bills, I don't know which one, a while back, we talked about a blood plasma thing. Are we still working on a location for blood plasma draw?
I think I spoke to Mark Roberts about this some time ago, and I don't believe that there's something that's pending at this time. There was a question regarding a potential facility, but I don't believe that it was appropriately zoned where they were
Right.
looking. And maybe Mohammed has something on that.
If I recall, when we were
You have the mic so everyone can kind of hear what you're.
If I can recall, when we were discussing about the situation that appeared on Michigan Avenue that kind of erupted at that time, and we divided the zoning of the city, I think we were verbally agreeing, it's not written yet, that the only location in the city that they will be entitled to do it would be in the M district, back in the corner of Van Born and Inkster, in that area, because there's so many let's say, vacant buildings out there. It's away from everybody. And that's what we've been telling people, because a lot of people have been coming in to apply in this local area. And we said, no, the only area that we can help you out with is to the corner of Inkster and Van Born.
I recall that.
Okay. Another thing. The boards and commissions. I went over my boards and commissions list that I got from the clerk's office a couple weeks ago. We have a lot of either updates or
Positions to
positions open. So I guess I would say, anybody out there that's interested in serving on a board or a commission, get in touch with the mayor's office, see what's available, because there's a lot of them available. And let's get that brought up to date, because there's a lot that are out of date and vacant. And the last thing I have is, a few council meetings ago, we sent a contract back that had to do with the police department for $13,000, I think it was, for
It was a maintenance agreement.
maintenance. Do you remember that? Is it coming back, or what's happening?
You know what, that's something Lee and I discussed briefly today.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I lost track of that.
Okay,
So
okay.
I'll get on to
That's
it.
all I have.
Okay. Any other council members?
Sure.
Councilman Berry?
Yeah, I did not plan on making this announcement, but I think it's probably due, being that spring is coming and real estate is going to take off the way it has. I don't know if many people remember HUD put out a report, I think it was last year at one time, talking about the increased prices on real estate and that the real estate market was getting better. They also made the announcement that there was one city in the United States where prices had gone up. I believe it was about 30% higher than what expected, and that was Dearborn Heights, Michigan, and we should be proud of that. We also have another person we should recognize in that same industry from Century 21 locally, Dave Abdullah. He was the #1 real estate agent in the United States from Century 21, Mr. Dave Abdullah. So, David, if you're watching, congratulations, nice job, and thank you very much. That is it.
Mr. Chairman?
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton?
Thank you. Just wanted to make an announcement. The Kiwanis Club of Dearborn Heights is sponsoring a shower drive for items for C.S. Mott Children's Hospital. We'll have collection bins in various municipal buildings, including the Carolyn Kennedy Library, John F. Kennedy Library, Canfield Center, and Richard A. Young Center. The dates the bins will be available would be March 23rd through April 30th. Items we're looking to collect for the Child and Family Life Center there at the hospital include infant and toddler toys, Hot Wheels, Legos, coloring books, craft kits, and character toys. All items should be new items. So that was the first announcement. The second announcement, I met with a group that is organizing and sponsoring tax foreclosure prevention meetings, and they asked me to make an announcement. Legislation was passed December 19th, 2014, sponsored by former Representative Philip Kavanaugh. And these presentations, if you're interested in learning more about the tax foreclosure relief legislation that was passed, how to stay in your home, some of your rights, and getting free advice, I wanted to share that with you and provide you with a number. That phone number is 313-963-3310, and that is through United Community Housing Coalition and Michigan Legal Services. So again, that's Tax Foreclosure Prevention Project. And the last thing I had to share is the Dearborn Heights Light Up the Night project is moving forward, and the program is going to be featured on GC Community Chat this Thursday night. And I wanted to share that with our residents. If you're interested in listening in, you can call in to listen at 1-724-444-7444. And there's an ID number you need, which is 82757. Or you can go online, and it's a live interview, and that's www.talkshoe.com/TC/82757. Thank you.
Mr. Chair. Councilman Constant?
I'd just like to thank Barb Gorka, our Watershed Stewards co-chair, and Steve Roberts, who's here today, and our City Attorney Gary Miatke for the work they did getting the Watershed Stewards ordinance passed so that we can officially have our members and the work they did on that. Good job.
I have one more thing, Mr. Chairman.
Councilwoman Horvath.
I got a call from somebody on Plainfield today wanting to thank the water department. Apparently there were 2 water main breaks over there in the last few weeks, and the water department did a fantastic job in that neighborhood for the 2 mains that they had broken, and the cleanup and the service to the residents that were 4 or 5 inches underwater due to the water main break. They couldn't say enough about the water department. So, Bill, if you could relay that to them, I'd appreciate it. That's it.
Good job.
Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Kozinski.
I was questions about the status of the project on Warren east of Telegraph, where there was some question about expansion that shouldn't have occurred. What Is it on hold? Is it stop work ordered, or where does that stand? Does anybody in the administration know that?
I just talked to Mark Roberts today, and he is going to be forwarding all that information over to Gary, as far as what was done at the Planning Commission and what was on the plan. I was having a rough time trying to get a straight answer, so that's why I thought maybe once it comes to Gary, we can see what's what and what the, the proper footage and all was supposed to be. So he said he'd be forwarding that over to you, so then we can go from there and see.
So it's not an issue that we can debate here?
Not yet.
Not yet. But it,
Talking about the former Steffens
yes,
site?
yes.
Court of Appeals for the Sixth Circuit.
So that's where we're at right now.
Okay. If it's in Mr. Matke's
Or will be.
hands.
It will be in my hands.
It will be.
Oh, well.
You need any help?
No, I think Mr. Roberts will get the information over.
Okay, anyone else? Mayor?
I've got a couple things. One is, and I want to steal people's thunders. I mean, the city treasurer and Vince and I worked on this, but we were real pleased. Standard & Poor upgraded us 2 rankings.
Yeah, that came in the
So we
mail.
moved from BBB to A-. Nice. And that was a nice jump. And kudos for their efforts. Also, although Marge, you beat me by a phone call, but the pothole on Beach Daily, they were out fixing, but I called the county and they said, we just had a council member, it was the commissioners, who called, and she actually went out to look at it, but
Yeah, she told me.
I've had, I don't know if anybody, well, they supposedly repaired it, but for the last 2 nights, I have had at least one person who has hit that pothole, gotten a flat tire or a bent rim, and has ended up parking in front of my house. And it's doing a lot of damage to both of them were not residents, but it's a heck of a way to have somebody come through Dearborn Heights. So the other item, a couple items, is Siham Jaffer, who is best known through the city as the host of several of our cable TV programs and the proprietor of 3D Consulting and Communication, the originator of the annual Images and Perception Diversity Conference, just received the prestigious award from the National Association of Women Business Owners of Greater Detroit. It's well-deserved, and congratulations to Siam, and want to thank her on behalf of all of us for her continued dedicated work to the city of Dearborn Heights. And then I'm pleased to announce that full recordings of the council meetings will soon be available on YouTube for those who would like to view our meetings over the internet. Angela Keller, the fine camera person that works on behalf of us to make these TV shows get on has been working, and the recordings will be on chronologically going back to the first meeting of 2015. Current meetings will be available for viewing approximately 2 days following the meeting date due to the amount of time it takes to upload the large file onto the YouTube system. We estimate it will take another week to 10 days to get everything in place. And as soon as the details are finalized, we will announce the instructions on how to access the YouTube channel that will hold these recordings. So congratulations, Angela, and keep up the good work, and it's good to see you back again. We missed you last meeting.
Thank you.
Good, thanks.
That's all I have.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Kozinski.
piggyback on your comment about chuck holes not being a very good reception for people traveling through Dearborn Heights. On the news today, here is a challenge to Mr. Evans. Mark Hackle announced that if you call a certain number, and I'm not going to call the number because I don't want our system to be overwhelmed, if you call a number, that pothole will be fixed within an hour.
Which,
And in Macomb County.
County.
So I think he's thrown out a challenge to Mr. Patterson and Mr. Evans.
Good.
And certainly for us too, because we don't like to be known as Pothole City. We're the future. How does it go? City with a future. There's no future in jumping into a pothole.
I think Bill can do it in 15 minutes.
Here's a challenge for
Hey,
you.
the pothole challenge, do I hear 13 minutes?
Our new logo is City with a Future Pothole.
Okay. Anything else? The clerk, do you have any?
The election.
We have another election coming up, ladies and gentlemen. First Tuesday after the first Monday, I believe it's May 5th. Those of you that are on the permanent absentee list, you have received your absentee applications. We've gotten many in already. If you normally receive an application through mail and you're on that permanent list and you haven't gotten it, call us. If you want one, call us. I'm going to make a plea, which I have made many, many times, and we're really quite challenged in the area of getting poll workers. I know I've said it many times. We have tried to reach out in as many creative ways and different ways as I can think of. I've gone to the schools. I just met with the Annapolis principal 2 weeks ago. We have reached out to some local sports parents groups. We have reached out through the newspaper. We have reached out through our website. Many of us reached out through our personal Facebook pages. I recently sent out to all the administration here, elected officials, saying post this anywhere you can, and our response has been close to nil. All the workers that I am getting as of late are from outside the Dearborn Heights community. So we need people. We need people. You have to have computer skills. We have laptop computers. You have to be able to operate them, navigate them. We ask that people make a commitment to return from election to election. We have a lot of training goes involved, not only with the technological aspect, but with the election law and so forth and so on. And we're getting to what I want to call a mini crisis, and I don't have a solution other than to consolidate polls if I don't get people, which we certainly do not want to do. So please, if you're so inclined, I'm easy to find. I'm the first office in City Hall. My number is 313-791-3432. I ask all the city officials, department heads, if everybody finds me, one or two people, my ills are over. So help us out, please. And stay tuned. The ballots, we're already getting calls when the ballots are going to be coming out. We don't have them. We don't have them physically yet. I promise you they will be, our normal mailing is 30 days before the election. So we will be processing those ballots, and any election-related questions, please feel free to call my office. Once again, 313-791-3432. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Kozinski.
Mr. Chairman, I didn't hear any incentive, City Clerk Pasevich. What
the price?
What's the stipend, and is there a possibility of showing an increase some way or another?
My unending gratefulness, first of all. We just increased the pay, actually, this last cycle by $15 or $20. It's hard. It's a long day. I understand that. It's from morning till night. We pay, I think the chairmanship, we pay $140. We pay $10 for a meeting. We pay $20 for training on the laptop your first time you're trained. So it's, I used to...
For the day.
I said I think it's $140 for the day. And there's additional pay, there's mandatory training, training. So it averages out between $170 for a chairman. I think it's $160 for a co-chair and $150 or $145 for an inspector. So that's, there is remuneration. And any other questions from the council or Mr.
Mr. Chair,
Kuczynski?
if I may just
Councilwoman
add,
Hicks Clayton.
since you mentioned the May 5th election and the ballot question, the proposal 1, the first Monday in April at 10 a.m. would be office hours, and we're going to be presenting material that is neutral material on Proposal 1 presented by Michigan Municipal League and through Southeast Michigan Council of Governments. Again, that's the first Monday in April at 10 a.m., the Berwyn Senior Center. And also that first Monday in April at 7 p.m. through Gulfview Manor Civic Association. And we do, you know, if you'd like to attend, we welcome everyone. We will have our state representative, Julie Plawicki, available to answer questions as well regarding that proposal. So I just wanted to share that with everyone.
One more thing, Mr. Chairman, we also have the petitions. We got the new petitions that we had to wait on. We have those petitions available for City Council. So that filing deadline is around April 20th. If you have any questions around that, once again, call my office.
Okay. Councilwoman Horvath.
I have another question.
Oh, my God.
I know. The police position in City Hall, is there any way we can move it to the front or closer to the front?
Well,
It's around the corner right now. If I'm correct, it's around the corner.
Well, he's
over here.
by the glass. He has a
Walks
little
around.
table.
The officer's moving all around between
around.
City Hall, the library. He's going there when school gets out and the kids gather. They're patrolling the playgrounds, the park,
Okay.
on this side over here. So he's trying to move all around. We don't want him sitting just in one spot. So we have a few tables for him. So,
Okay,
you know.
okay.
Okay. Anything else from the table? Now, at this point, if anyone has any announcements, these are things happening in the city, things going on. Mike? Not today.
Oh,
Okay.
that's a first.
Mike ran out of business.
I'll remember that one.
Yeah. Okay, seeing none. Then at this point, if anyone has any questions or concerns, please direct them to me. If you would like to talk to another council member, the mayor, department head, et cetera, let me know, and I will ask him or her if they would like to respond. Councilman Berry will keep time. You will have 3 minutes after you give your name, street, and the city you reside in. When you have 15 seconds left, he will hold up this sign, and when your 15 seconds are up, he'll hold the stop. If we respond, he pauses. So it's 3 minutes of your particular talking time. So if anyone has any announcements or questions, please come to the podium up here.
Good evening, council, chairs, chairman, everyone. Thank you this evening for listening. I have a little problem.
Just your name and then.
Oh, I'm sorry.
the street
My name.
Not address, just street and city. That's all we need.
Yep. John Eminuno, Whitefield, Dearborn Heights. I have a little problem. I don't want to direct it. Basically, it's with the planning commission. They built a home down the street and near my home. They were working on it for about a year. It's not even halfway completed. It's going to be the largest home in the area. It's the higher in elevation that it should be, and it's a monstrosity. I came in earlier. I wanted to speak with Mohammed. He wasn't in, so I don't want to indirectly. I know it's not his fault, but the planning commission and the site plan should have not made this possible because it's not conforming with the neighborhood. And Marge probably would agree with me that the Bigfoot homes shouldn't be here. And that is unacceptable for me and my neighbors. There's been 2 basement windows that are been left open in that home within 1 or 2 feet of the ground. I'm surprised nobody fell in. Now that it's getting warmer, there's toddlers in the neighborhood, kids in the neighborhood. I'm afraid that somebody might get hurt. While they were building this, in approximately August of last year, there were floor trusses on the roof. They were spun sideways for about a month. It rained. We had the big heavy rains. I mean, they were saturated. Guess what? They still used them. I think that they might have a problem. After they put this house together, if you jump up and down, it's probably going to fall through. But is the city liable because the building inspectors say it's okay? I don't know. I hope not, because I can't rest at night stating that that's acceptable, because in this city it's unacceptable. That's just one of my problems. My neighbors also agree with me, and if you've seen this house, you would agree with me also. That's only one of my problems. Let me see here.
Can you give me the, like, cross streets between exactly where it's I mean, you know, I know you don't know.
It's about 4 houses north of Ford Road on the 5733. That's correct.
31?
31. I don't know if there's an address there, but anyways, anyway.
Okay, thanks.
And my next question is, thank you to the officers for patrolling the school system, because apparently they're walking the kids across the street now. I'm sure they got better things to do than walk the kids across the street. We should get crossing guards, because
they're cheap.
They're more intelligent than walking the kids across the street. So thanks again for listening. You have a great day.
Thank you.
I think there might be a reason.
Where was that school crossing that you're talking
Oh,
about?
one, I'm sorry, was Highview School yesterday, and then Riverside today. I know that because when there's no crossing guard, I guess they call the police station because they're public servants and they have to walk the kids across the street.
Sure, we have to, by law, we have to provide school crossing guards for the schools. And then when they don't have someone that show up, we employ the school crossing guards, but if someone isn't there, then one of our officers fill in to make sure the kids
Okay,
cross
thank you.
safely.
I thought you could find a $10 an hour guy or something, you know.
If
Thank you
know of
very
any
much.
out there, have 'em.
I know your officers are more qualified than that. That's all I was trying to say.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks again.
Okay, thanks. Next, okay, go ahead.
Suzanne Todd, Academy Street, Dearborn Heights. A question, 9F. What is that in regards to? Is that to that garage that is supposed to be built?
That's correct.
Okay, and this is from a grant?
So this is from the Wayne County Park System.
No, it's not for the garage.
Oh,
It's
wait.
a grant, well, he's
Well,
gonna use it.
can
But it's a
be.
grant. You have to look
Yes.
at it as a grant that we're getting. Forget the garage right now.
Okay.
We've got that much because of the park millage that we pay. We're getting that. What is asking to use part of that money to pay any additional, if there is, to the garage project, but we haven't gotten the
bids back.
Okay, I understand that, but couldn't that grant be put towards something else besides building a garage for a $25,000 vehicle?
We've already had a
We've already-
meeting on that, and
yeah.
we've decided that that garage is important.
They need the garage, no matter what, he needs it.
Historic recreational equipment. is
Yeah.
So
what
it's already done?
Yes.
There's nothing that can be done about it?
Well, we're trying to get a lower bid.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I mean, considering that our water park isn't open every day during the summer, I would think a recreational grant would go towards something meaningful like that.
But
don't
it
think it
isn't
can.
open, excuse me, Mr. Chairman, the water park, what we're talking about here is people to run it. And you can't use grants for administration. It has to be you can't hire a part-timer to go over and work the water park
And
with
pay
that
him out of a
grant money.
grant.
Okay, so then, in other words, there's nothing else in the city that we could use this grant for that would actually go to the, help the residents
Parks
then?
and Recreation, this grant only.
So it's just, so you can only use it for a garage?
No.
No,
That's
But
what we
that's what
propose
you-
to use it for.
That's what you propose to use it
Correct.
for?
I think we have to
Okay.
understand what the garage will do. We have ball diamonds down there, which we have hundreds of kids that play on these diamonds, and they aren't being maintained properly. So the piece of equipment that we're getting is to maintain the park. So that's, and you have to have a place to house the vehicle to maintain the diamonds.
Where was it maintained before?
We haven't been maintaining them adequately. That's part of the
Okay,
problem.
but where was this piece of equipment before?
It's brand new.
Brand new?
Has not been used.
Okay, and so it's going to be used to
Maintain the diamonds over at Swap the
maintain,
Park.
okay. That's better. At least the kids will be using it. It'll be used for, indirectly for the kids. Other question I have.
That's why it's on there.
Well, but see, it's not explained to people. That's the problem. You guys, you say, well, item number 1A, da-da-da, and you talk about it, and most people don't know what you're talking
Well,
about.
we had a complete session on it, and it was open to the public.
When was this? I remember that session, but it
4
was
weeks
talking
ago?
about a vehicle.
No. We had a discussion specifically on this.
When was this?
I don't give you the date. If you'd like to wait around after, I'd be happy to tell
Well,
you.
you can just email me. You have my address.
Okay.
Okay. The other thing is, on the corner of Inkster and Warren is a sign that says, "Welcome to Dearborn Heights," or "Dearborn Heights, a storm-ready city." Who paid for that?
Well, that's been there for a while. Bob, do you have a?
Bob, do you know where
Who
those
paid for
signs-
the signs?
Yeah, the sign that says "a storm-ready city." I just noticed it coming here today. It's on Inkster
Yeah, it's on the south
Yeah,
side of the street.
with a bunch
I
of
think
other
it was a
signs.
Kiwanis thing and maybe a Lions thing on there. and-
Yeah, that was paid out of the emergency management budget because the emergency management department works with the National Weather Service to achieve the storm-ready community status.
Okay,
Mr.
that
Chairman,
answers that question.
it's an unauthorized sign. That's what, it's an unauthorized sign.
no, it isn't.
It's not authorized, Bob.
Who put it there?
Oh, those have been in place
What's the
for
terminology of the sign?
5 to 8 years, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our
I guess
DPW
what's the problem with it? I guess that's what I'm asking.
Well, I guess this is a tale of two cities. The south end is not a storm-ready system.
According
Okay, and
to
I'm talking to the flooding.
According to the
weather. You're
the
talking
standards
about the
set
weather?
by the National Weather Service,
Okay.
the entire city is indeed a storm-ready
According to the
community.
National Weather Service.
And we go through that ritual. As a matter of fact, we're going to be doing a renewal coming up. The audit will be taking place this summer.
Right.
They
I've
don't,
been to
they
them.
don't determine it. North end versus south end. This is a citywide thing. Okay, not necessarily the aftermath of the flood, but when a storm approaches, warning systems, things of that nature. That is what qualifies the city as a storm-ready community.
Okay, because some people brought that to my attention, and I thought, oh, they were pulling my leg. But now that you've explained it, that it
Okay.
has to do with NOAA,
Yeah.
I will be able to tell them that. Okay,
Great.
and
Okay, thanks, Suzanne.
and the other thing is, just briefly.
Wrap it up. Thank you.
Oh, I'm done. I can't ask our mayor the question?
Go ahead.
Okay. I just want to ask you, but on that, the downriver agreement, this is basically our city and other cities downriver who are fighting against Wayne County because they want to sell the wastewater system, and then we would have to turn around and have to buy it back again. Is that what this is basically
Yeah,
about?
that's over with.
What the proposal and the deficit reduction plan about Ficano, and it looks like the current CEO is looking at the same thing. They call it monetizing, but what it would basically do is, although there's $100 million worth of debt on the plant, but sell it to somebody for, let's say, $150 million, and then that individual they sold it to would expect us to pay the $150 million back in rates, plus we would assume an interest rate, and so we're not at all going to allow them to do it.
And all the other cities are right on with
We're,
us.
all 13 of us
Good.
are united.
Great.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Whoever, go ahead.
Good evening, Council. I'm a bit embarrassed to come up with such a small item of mine compared to all the things I've heard
Your
this
name
evening
and the
here.
street you live on in this.
Ronald Johansson, Suncrest, Dearborn Heights. 2 years ago, the subdivision we're in, we're exactly all resurfaced. First was just a coating, and many years ago, we got all taken off and new coating put on. I was excited about that and was starting home, and as the machines are coming through to take off the existing, I just watch it going through the drive, past the driveway. It just hit my driveway, and there's a fissure about 4 or 5 feet. Well, he saw that. I'm sure he'll get it repaired. I left a few messages, called Public Works. I did get a return call, says, yes, you're on the list. Well, it's 2 years and it's still there. I'd just like to have it taken care of and recognized. I'm just can't get a response.
Well, it's not a little concern. If it concerns you, it's a big concern, so it concerns us too. We went through, didn't we televise all that before?
That would be Military Hills.
Yeah, I thought before the contractors, someone told me that we televised the precondition so that we would be able to see. So, do we have some repair works need to be done there?
Can you, after the meeting, see Mr. Brooks?
Oh, fine, I would like to.
And then give him your address and all? Okay, good.
Another item, please, just as a suggestion. I'm very happy getting the water bills, and that automatically they can take it out of my bank account. A nice thing would be to do the same thing with the tax bills. Dearborn has it. It'd be a nice convenience, just a thought. Have the tax bills, take it out of the bank account to worry about with late fees.
Electronic transfer.
It's a thoughtful thought.
Well, it's a thought for the treasurer.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Can we do it?
Sir?
Good evening. My name's Dave Steinert. I live on Whitefield. John, who already spoke, is my neighbor, and I just had the second his complaints about that new house that's going up. Unfortunately, I'm the very next house over, and never have they put up any kind of construction fencing. Anybody can go in there, and with the warm weather coming in, I'm worried about it turning into a hangout. I mean, it does provide shelter, and Dearborn Heights is a nice town, but let's not be naive. Bad things can happen here too. But it's just, along with that, it's just a huge eyesore. I liken it to living next to an abandoned home. The Tyvek is just flapping in the breeze. It's been on there for months, and you know how that stuff blows in the breeze after it's exposed for just a few days even. And I've been down here, and I've filed a couple complaints with the building department, and like John said, I'm not trying to stir up anything, but they seem to talk pretty tough, but nothing's been done, especially about the construction fencing. They said that they assured me that there'd be fencing, they'd make them install fencing, but it's never gone up. So
The home they're building on Highview had the same problem. They had fencing up there in a week or so.
Yeah.
Give or take, I don't know, it could have been 2 weeks maybe, but it was put up very quickly.
Yeah, I assure you it's...
The building director's here. What's the story? Okay, the ordinance officer's here. What's the story?
When it comes to like fencing and outside debris, this is, an ordinance issue. I don't know, you never talked to us. I don't know what building department you spoke to. But it was never to
I never spoke to you.
No, but our building department, I know practically, I'm not going to say everything, but I would know they'd come back to me, and that was never mentioned. Well, because if it was, I would have immediately referred it to the ordinance to follow up.
Well, he talked to somebody.
That's the first time I've heard about it. I don't know, who did you talk to? I mean, gentleman
Somebody
says
in
he
the
spoke to
building.
someone.
Well, can we get the ordinance on it?
He talked to somebody in the building department.
Yes.
A female?
No, it was two gentlemen. I wish I would have remembered their names. This was back in the spring, though. It was so long ago.
Oh,
The only
almost a year
person that would have
ago.
been Rick.
Well, there's the,
Okay, well, here's Jack from the.
Yeah, after John left today, I looked in the system. We have been doing enforcements at the property since July. This is one of those houses that they start and then it just stalls and it just sits and it sits and it sits. The permits are about to expire next month. We do have enforcements with them. We've got tickets that we've issued against them to put up fencing and also to seal up the house. So those tickets were issued. I didn't get a chance to mention that to John when he was here earlier today. But it does bring up a good concern. I don't know that a lot of people, when they're starting these projects, if you drive around the city, most of them don't have fencing, and they're very surprised when we issue an ordinance enforcement saying you have to put up some kind of fencing. The Highview one happened because we went out there, I got a hold of the builder and said, you have to install something and it has to be done today. And so that's how that happened. So I think the bigger question is how long, and we've brought this question up before, how long do we want these construction projects to go on where they become a blight issue and an ongoing blight issue? We have existing homes in the city that we don't have as many issues with as we do with some of these new construction properties, so.
Yeah, that's what I actually wanted to say. When I likened it to an abandoned home, I wanted to liken it, it's almost like living next to a burnt-out home. I mean, it really looks horrible.
I think Mohammed and I we can probably meet tomorrow and we can come up with a strategy as what these when these people come and they pull these permits, I think they need to be, maybe they need to meet with both of us so we can explain to them what's expected on a construction site. Because I think a lot of people just are not getting it. But we are doing the enforcement. And as I said, this particular one on Whitefield, we've issued civil infraction tickets. So their appearance tickets, we're going to have them in court, and we're going to explain to them in court with the prosecutor what needs to be done to secure the property.
The other item, you didn't mention this, and you don't need to respond, but I think Jack and I talked about it around 6 o'clock today. But there's a very high, the basement is like extremely high sticking out of the ground, and I don't know if you guys can let me know, do they expect that to become the grade for that house? I mean, it is like, I'm not exaggerating, it might be 4 feet above sticking out of the ground.
The grade on new constructions, it's always when they're done, we pass it on to Wade Trim to check on the grade level to see. And it did happen a couple of times where a couple of them were higher and they had to lower it down. Yes, but the height of the house itself, we do have, and City Council passed it way back with the planning. Okay, we do have 2 different lot sizes, less than 60 on the frontages and 60 and above. That's another size, where the new houses on the less than 60 are limited to 30 feet, and the other ones are 35. And when they come in with the planning or the plans, okay, we make sure this is what they adhere to, in addition to the setbacks. Now, I know they do look a little bit awkward amongst, all those small houses, but this is something that the City Council passed in the planning when we did the master plan. And all we're doing is enforcing, what was passed.
Yeah, because my observation was that thing looks like it's coming out of the ground. I would have, it's almost like where a pole went up. It just seemed that way.
No, it did happen a couple of times, and Dan here would verify that, where it was a little bit higher, and then we made them lower the grade level.
It brings up a very good point, though. When the permit's issued, and Mohammed and I think we need to have a discussion about this, but when the permit's issued and they go out, they technically don't come back until they're ready to call for that inspection.
Well, no.
And we might have to.
There are several steps in the inspection. It's, first of all, when the foundation is done and the concrete is poured. The second time, when the framing is done. The third time, when the roof is done, there's about 6 or 7 stages in there. It's not when they're done, no.
But I mean, they would have to contact you to say, we're ready for that inspection.
Yes, yes, they do.
See, and I think that's what's happening, and Mohammed and I, we've actually had discussions, even when the mayor and Mohammed and I have met about this, that we might need to, when a permit like that is issued, a lot of folks aren't coming back and saying, I'm ready for my inspection. They're just continuing on and doing more, and then it makes it difficult for the building department to go back. So what might need to happen is when those permits are issued, especially on first floor additions and new constructions, we might have to go ahead and just pre-schedule an enforcement where we follow up on it, you know, and take a look to see where it's at.
That's something, I mean, if let's say a contractor proceeds without any inspections, okay, which is very, very seldom, we do have a track record that we go out there and make sure that they expose what they have covered before they continue.
Yeah, if you can take a look at it, because it looked to me like, I'm not, I mean, I agree that my perception, but it looked to me like it's 3 or 4 feet sticking out of the ground, higher than what I would expect a basement. So, I mean, you didn't say anything about it, either one of you guys, but it looked to me like that was out of step, but I don't know.
And if they do put the grade up to that, where that basement is, I'm worried about getting flooded out.
Sir,
because the water will just roll right onto my yard.
Sir, again, when I said before, you know, on the final, they come up with a grade, and Wade Trim goes out there, shoots a grade to make sure that it complies with what it should be. So if it was higher, they would have to lower it, and it happened a couple of times. So, but we can't do anything right now till the grade is set and said, okay, we're ready for the grade level. So if they're bad, I mean, if it's higher than what it should be, they do take it out.
Mohammed, a question. That 30 or 35 feet, that is from the grade, not from the bottom of the floor joists, correct?
No, it's from the grade.
From the grade, okay.
Talking about potholes, if you make a right-hand turn, sorry, Bill, if you make a right-hand turn off Ford Road on the Whitefield, be real careful, because the concrete is separating, and there's quite a pothole there. So maybe it's been fixed, I didn't mean to, but I just warn you.
Okay. Anyone else have anything they wish to bring forward to us?
Yeah, you got 14 minutes left.
Can I?
Anyone else? Hearing none? Moved by
Support.
Councilwoman Horvath,
Support.
second by Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
I wanted to
All in
say
favor?
something.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Me, I wanted
Have a
to
good
say
night. Let me
something
know if you
about
need
what
anything.
we were talking about.